Welcome to Can I Park Here? Brought to you by findafashiontruck.com. Nashay and Estrell's mission is to inspire future and existing small business owners. They don't claim to be experts. They're simply trying to figure this all out, just like you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Can I Park Here podcast, brought to you by findafashiontruck.com. My name is Nashay Snow, and I'm here with
Estrell Riles.
As always, in order to get more information about any of our past episodes, please head over to startafashiontruck.com for the show notes and also for any blog articles that we have written about owning a business, photography tips, you name it.
And also, I'd like to take a little time out to thank everybody who's actually listened to our podcast. We really appreciate it. I mean, we get a lot of love from everybody. And we want to say thanks. Thanks a bunch. But today we'll be chatting with Christine Lynch. She's the owner of the local color truck in New York City. She'll be telling us about how she got started in the business and any bumps in the road that she has encountered thus far.
Yeah, and I love that everything in her truck was made in the USA. And in particular, she showcases items like home decor jewelry, and other items, kind of, she said it best, kind of like, it's almost like a gift shop. So gift shop type of items in her truck, but they're made like locally by local designers. And so I think that's awesome because sometimes it's hard out here for local designers. So to have fashion trucks or mobile trucks in general in other boutiques, like feature things from local or just any designers in the US, it's always great.
And she actually gives a short list of the local designers that she actually carries in the truck. So that's at the end of the episode.
But let's get to it and hear more from Christine.
Here we go.
We are so happy to have Christine here today from the local color truck in New York City. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you.
So we're just going to have you start out and kind of tell us a little bit about you, like the Christine before the truck and then why you decided to start it.
Sure thing. The Christine before the truck. I come from a fashion background. So I was in the fashion industry in New York City for about 10 years. I have a degree in fashion design. And what happened was in late 2013, I was laid off from my job, which sounds bad, but it was actually a blessing. I had become, kind of over the fashion industry. It's really, it's a tough place. And when that happened, it kind of gave me an opportunity to look at myself and, look at what I wanted to do with the future. So what I did was I took some time off and I had been working on a t-shirt line, privately, independently. And I started selling that at markets around the city. And I fell in love with it. And I loved working with local people and people, doing their passion and that kind of thing. That's kind of the turning point where I decided I didn't want to go back into fashion, just needed to do something different.
And so what made you say, you know what, I think I'm going to start a fashion truck?
When I was at these markets, I met with Jessie of the Nomad truck. And yeah, I think you just did an interview with her, actually.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. So I met her and I saw her truck and we talked and it kind of just like sparked something like that, is amazing. It's, be your own boss, taking it by the horns. And it seemed right. And being in the atmosphere with, the flea market and being around all those creative people, it just kind of felt right to do something that would be, honoring local artists and, that kind of thing. So it really just felt right, like the right venue for local stuff. So that's kind of how it fell together.
How long was the actual process from you deciding, okay, I want to do this truck, and then actually finding the truck and then getting it renovated and everything?
There was a lot of hemming and hawing in early, like the winter of 2014. I was still freelancing at that point and kind of like playing around with the idea in my head and being really scared about it. And then it wasn't until last summer that I really kind of decided that it was what I was going to do. So I really decided, it was really September of 2014 that I was like, yes, this is it. I'm going to start it. This is what it's going to be. It started in September, and I got on the road this year in June, which it took longer than I thought and longer than I wanted. That was kind of the timeline.
Where did you end up finding your truck?
I found it in February, and I had some challenges with that as well. It took a while to find it, and then it took a while after I found it to find liability insurance. So that held things up for a pretty long time. So I wish that I had just, because like I had gotten advice on what insurance company to go with, and I was like, I can find a better price, and I really could not. So there was a lot going on there, and that took I feel like 2 months out of my schedule that shouldn't have. But there were a lot of challenges that I didn't think would happen that happened. Another one being the truck battery or something with the electrical wasn't working, and I went back and forth with the dealership a bunch of times trying to get it fixed, and that took a while because I thought it was fixed, and then the battery would die, so I would have to go back. But the only good part about that was because I got it from a dealership, they, replaced the battery and fixed it for free. I wasn't just, screwed, out of a random truck seller person. So right. That was good and bad at the same time.
But, I think that most of the truck owners that we've spoken with, they've all had issues in the beginning when they purchased their truck. So I guess that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 2002, definitely not a brand new truck. There's going to be issues. I'm not buying, a brand new sparkling truck. Right. That's just, they're so expensive. So that was really the only mechanical hiccup. So that's not too bad considering.
I love your truck because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's primarily like accessories or home decor, like pillows and candles, correct?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I have random accessories. I have jewelry. I have a little bit of apparel. I've got pillows and candles and art. So it's kind of like a gift shop. That sounds corny, but you'll go in and find cool stuff. So a little bit of everything.
And that's what I like about it. And, it's like the color truck is the perfect name because it's like pops of color, very bright color. So it definitely catches your eye. So how did you come up with that name? Because I know a lot of people have a hard time with that too, figuring out the right name for their business.
Yeah, it's funny because my husband and I were talking about it, and we were I had a list of lame names, and he's like, "Well, describe what what you want it to be," and I'm like, "I want it to be colorful local stuff," and he's like, "So local color," and I'm like, "Yeah," so it just kind of happened organically, I guess. So sometimes you just gotta talk it out with somebody, have a sounding board.
Well, no, I think that's awesome. So everything in your truck is made in the USA. And I guess most of it is in the New York City area? Artists from the New York City area?
Yeah, it's the New York City area. So it's not just designers, it's designers who produce, locally as well, which is really important to me coming out of the fashion industry to do that.
Now, did you have a hard time kind of locating them, or did you already know them because you're a designer, or did you go like on Etsy just to see who was in the area? Like, how were you able to find like things that kind of met your brand?
It's a lot of different things coming together. When I started, I used Etsy a lot and Etsy wholesale. People come into the truck and are like, how do I work with you? I'm like, just talk to me. Like, what's your website? What's your Instagram? Instagram has been great. I search hashtags. The biggest challenge is finding apparel that is actually produced locally and even produced in the USA. That's really the biggest challenge right now. So I'm still trying to beef up my apparel assortment. But I mean, that's the great thing about it is it's going to be an evolving assortment of product. It's not necessarily seasonal. It's kind of just going to be continually growing and evolving. So that's something that I really like about it.
Can you explain the difference between what you sell in the truck and your online store?
I don't really have a huge online presence yet. I just got accepted into Shoptiques. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
No.
But
I've heard of them.
Yeah, it's called shoptiques.com, and it's an online marketplace for small independent boutiques that don't necessarily have an online presence yet. But, those little independently owned stores that want to have an online presence. And, for consumers, you'll find, great items that, are not in large stores. Maybe you were visiting Nashville and went into a boutique and loved it, went back months later online to find them, and, they don't have an online store. It's kind of like that, like small, great boutiques so that they have like an online presence. So it's kind of a cool forum.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's like I've heard of them before, but I just didn't know much about them. So no, I think that's a great way without trying to figure out like how to do it, on your website. So
yes.
for your,
it's still a work in progress because I am so new. I'm just trying to keep adding stuff on there, but it's still not there yet.
Well, I guess too, it'll be tricky also because you'll be selling stuff in the truck and on Shoptiques, so trying to like keep track of that inventory so nothing gets oversold. Yeah,
because it's just being a one-woman show, like keeping track of everything is one of my biggest challenges right now. Like not just inventory, but just everything that you have to do is kind of. I'm still figuring it out. It's a challenge, but it's good. Yeah.
And I know you were recording in this the week it's going out, but Val Geisler, for the listeners out there, she talks a little bit about process too of even like using like Google spreadsheets and Google Docs at the beginning before like investing in anything too crazy. So that might help too because they have awesome apps available.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely using QuickBooks. That's a good one.
Oh yeah.
And I got some spreadsheets going. It's just like I gotta like keep up with it. You don't want to like let that stuff get away from you.
Because it's weird. Because I feel like even because I use just like Quicken for my regular finances, and if I go over a week, it's a chore.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, let me get the receipts. Let me try to get everything reconciled.
Yeah.
So like, that's like my max. So I'm not like kicking the computer,
Yeah. Especially like I come from like a fashion creative background. Like that's not my forte. So I'm really trying to be strict with myself to, keep everything on track.
Yeah. So for the brand, I love kind of, it's funny. I have a graphic design background too.
Oh,
and
cool.
I swear I can always tell people who are designers, and I know Astrella's going to call me a snob totally, but even like looking at your choices of the things that go in your truck and like the Pinterest page that you just started, which is really cool. You definitely have like an eye for design. But I know as a designer, sometimes it's hard to like do stuff for yourself. Did you design like your like logo, website, and truck, or did you just say, you know what, I'm just going to have somebody else handle it?
No, I did everything. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did the website through Wix. steadily.com.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the build your own website thing. And I used a template, but like the logo I designed myself. The interior of the truck I designed myself. So yeah, a lot of it, yeah, I did myself.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's so funny because usually I hate Wix websites because it's normally people who aren't designers. And then when they take like, I think just the templates, they're not sure what to do with it. And so you could tell like it's a Wix website, but with yours, it doesn't feel like that. It looks like it was like a custom website, which is great. So I kind of encourage people, like, as they're looking at websites, to take a look at yours to see what it could look like. And then check out other websites that say kind of like Wix on the bottom and things aren't quite right.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely another reason to either A, like hire like a designer to help you clean it up, or B, make sure that you really pick a good template, like a base template to work from that looks very polished.
Because it's like, I had everything in my mind and how I wanted it to look, so that made it easier. But if you're starting from scratch and that's not your forte, I mean, you definitely want to have those things look good and look professional. So it's like, you do what you can. And, get help where you need it.
Yeah, no, it looks
With
great.
your truck, is that a wrap or are those vinyl stickers?
It's a wrap, like completely, yeah.
And about how long did that take?
They were actually pretty amazing. I sent them the artwork after I went in on a Monday, they measured the truck. I sent them my artwork in their template. And then on Friday, they wrapped it. Like I dropped it off at like 8 in the morning and picked it up at 7 at night. And they were amazing. That was one of the easiest things that I did when starting the business.
Yeah,
which
and
was
I love it
shocking.
too. You got even like a little hot pink, like little stripes on the stairs, just to like, I don't know, it's just like a little pop of color everywhere. I'm a big color person. So
me too. Like,
together.
The goal was to, when you walk in the truck, you feel good and you feel happy and you have a smile on your face. And most people do, which is great. It makes me happy. So that's good.
I'm also curious about when you first started, how much of an investment did you put into all of the products that you purchased? Like, did you just buy a whole bunch of stuff and just say, okay, well, I'll just sell, what I can? Or were you strategic about it and just bought a little bit at a time?
I bought a little bit at a time. And like, I'm still not packed to the gills, full in the truck yet. It's still building, I'm not at capacity. I started buying in the winter, like just as I got my truck, as I would find things, and kind of built it, the assortment slowly. And I mean, it's probably not the right way to do it, but I kind of winged it and being like, hope this is enough to fill it. So, it was a little bit sparse at first, but I'm, adding stuff like every other week just to make sure, I don't run out of money and the assortment looks right and I have the right space for it. So, I mean, still growing in that department for sure.
Now, is it mostly wholesale, or do you also do like some consignment?
I do all wholesale.
All wholesale, yeah.
At the moment.
And then also, so you're almost kind of like 3 months in. So as far as like social media and marketing and getting yourself out there, have you found things that work or haven't worked as you've tried to like gain in popularity and have people know or follow you so they know where you are?
I love Instagram. It's my favorite social media platform. So I think that's my strongest right now, because I'm all about the visuals and I just think that's super important. But I also use Twitter, and the Twitter feed hooks up with my website so that like whenever, like in the morning, it's like, oh, I'm at the beach today, like that'll automatically go into my website. So I feel like I don't have a lot of Twitter followers, but if you're going to my website, that you'll be able to find where I am that way. But I'm still trying to figure things out. I get a lot of, like, it's a lot of just like seeing the truck and walking in at this point for me. So
I was going to ask you, like, what is the actual, like, customer response, just for people walking on the street and seeing you? Like, are they receiving it well?
Yeah.
Like, how's that going?
It's going really well. And the great thing about New York is you get the locals and you get, the visitors, the tourists. And it's a great mix of both. The locals aren't really shocked by anything. The tourists get, the tourists get really excited. They're like, oh my gosh, that's a store in there? Did I see you on TV? Oh my gosh, I've never been in one of those before. So it's like, it's really fun. So, but the response is always great.
I saw on your Instagram account, I think it was a few weeks back, you were with like the Sun Truck and I think End of the A. So do you guys normally try to kind of go out together most of the time?
Not necessarily. That was at the beach and at the Reese Park Beach Bazaar, and they're doing like kind of like flea market. And, there's space for the trucks to go, and they also have great food and live music. So it's kind of like a great place, for trucks to go. And, it's kind of hard to find those kind of places in New York. So I think we all just kind of gravitated towards it, especially End of the A, because they're Rockaway Beach people.
Oh, right. Yeah. And then now, do you only do private parties or events in New York, or do you go kind of up and down the East Coast?
I have not done up and down the East Coast yet. I'm trying to still think if that would be good for me. I'd love to go out further into Long Island, maybe to like the wineries and more of the beaches out there, maybe towards the fall. I haven't done any private parties yet. I'm trying to, I don't know yet. I mean, I think it would be good. It's just parking in the city is a challenge. I think it would have to be further out to do private parties. Still figuring it out.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you actually parked on the street or if it's always with private businesses.
That's becoming increasingly challenging because it's technically, there's no license for it in New York yet. And I'm actually working with some of the other trucks to ask for permitting. But, and they've gotten a little bit strict with the rules on that. So I've been primarily doing private events, and I'm looking into renting, like a vacant parking lot. Yeah.
Oh, neat.
So, it's trial and error at the moment.
Starting out, which point of sale system did you decide to go with?
I use Square. And I'm liking it because it's more than just a point of sale. Like, I can keep track of inventory. It's a great organizational tool with my inventory as well as point of sale. So I've really been liking it so far.
And that seems to be the popular one. Most of the, small businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I do banking with Chase Bank, and every time I go in there, they're like, would you like to, look at our because they have like a card scanner, but it doesn't offer, all the benefits that the app and the Square website has with the inventory organization. I don't think I'm going to look for anything else.
And I forgot to ask you, now, do you make stuff also that you sell in the truck?
Yeah, I do, actually. I do some of the pillows in the truck, and I do screen printed T-shirts in the truck.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so
multitasker like us. We do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. That's great for me because, I have to be creative. I'm a creative person, and, it's a great that I can keep, doing that and work with all the other artists too. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that.
Any lessons learned since you kind of first came up with the idea to now that you could pass on to other people that are thinking about starting this year?
So many lessons learned.
Be brutally honest.
I mean, from driving the truck, this is my 10th year living in New York, and I hadn't really driven a car in 10 years. And that was a huge fear that I had. But, I actually really like it now, the driving. It's not as scary as it seems. So, don't have that be the scary part of it. I mean, the scarier part is, jumping in there and taking a risk. And if, you have an idea that you're super passionate about and it's like eating away at you and like you keep thinking about it, maybe, this is something, that you could do. But I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. I get dirty. I was under a truck the other day. Like looking for a loose wire, your manicure is going to get, chipped away and you're going to get filthy by the end of the day. Like, it's not easy, but like, if you have the passion for it, it's totally worth it. I think it's worth it so far. If you're, into getting dirty and taking that risk and,
Yeah, I feel like it's, I was listening to something, it was another podcast, I can't remember which one, but they were talking about like, if you're doing anything that's you consider your passion, like something that you've been dreaming about, or like, oh, I got this idea, I just can't wait to do it, I know it's going to work. Like, no matter what, you get dirty, truck breaks down, you don't get some sales one day or whatever, it's still kind of worth it. I feel like it's still worth it if you still love what you're doing and if you still believe in that idea.
Yeah, and like
realistically, though, I think sometimes it could be defeating because I know even with me, like there may be things that I love, but if something goes wrong, then I'm just like, oh my God, why am I even doing this? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, you got to roll with it,
right?
Just got to roll with it.
But I think you keep doing it, though, because you love it. Because if it's not something that is your passion or you don't love, when things go wrong, you give up on it, right? You're like, that's okay. I'm on to the next idea, right? So, no, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we have a few questions just to help the audience get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite podcast, blog, or book? And if so, what is it?
Oh, God. This sounds crappy. I'm not really a reader or a listener. I'm more of like a maker and crafter. So I'm really into like, knitting or sewing or that kind of thing. So I'm not really a podcaster or a big, reader.
No, that makes sense.
Sounds
like
really
when you have free time, you want to make stuff.
You're more
exactly.
No, that makes sense. Like for me, it's interesting. Like I actually love to read, but I don't have time to read. I feel like the only time that I actually get to like finish any books that I have an interest in is if I'm flying to California because, I know that it's like a 4 or 5 hour flight. And, I'm like, this is my time to like catch up on some books on the flight there and back. But other than that, when I'm at home, I'm like, I should be like laser cutting or painting or learning calligraphy. I totally get it.
Yeah. Like I'm huge on like, I love Pinterest. I could just scroll through it all day. Like, I'm more that kind of girl.
Even though, it'll be interesting to see kind of, how you take advantage of Pinterest too, because, I feel like, and we've talked about this before, on other episodes, like it's a platform that's kind of underutilized, I think sometimes by boutiques. But it's like, it's great because if you get your stuff out there, all you need is for 1 or 2 of like your pieces to go viral on Pinterest and you just like blow up.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that.
I know, right?
That would be awesome.
If you could have any celebrity, entertainer, model, athlete, whoever visit your mobile boutique, who would it be?
Oh, God. These are the hard questions.
I know, right?
Oh, man. This is also really lame, but I would love like Bill de Blasio to come in, the mayor of New York, and be like, this is amazing. You guys need a license for this. Like, I believe in you. Like, I never thought that would come out of my mouth, but like, I'd really love to show him a thing or two of, what I'm doing.
I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. I know we have some New York listeners out there. If anybody knows him, let him know. We need him to do something, okay? We've got several boutiques, mobile boutiques out there, and we need some policies. We need some regulations.
There's like 5 or 6 of us that are, trying to make it work, Bill.
Yeah, I know. We need this, because it's interesting. Each city is so different because I forgot, is it Cleveland? I don't know if you remember Estrell, but some of them have like special parks for the truck, and it's like they welcome them with open arms and try to like make it kind of easier for them. And then in the other places, it's just a little bit more of a challenge. So I hope you guys kind of are able to make some leeway with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're still new, so I think I'm trying to be positive. I think it'll go our way.
Yeah. What do you like to do just to wind down and de-stress whenever you have some free time?
Netflix and a bottle of wine works every time.
Right.
Yeah.
I also, if I have, a free day, I have a yard. I love to garden and be outside. So that's, what I also love to do if it's during the day.
I've been trying to garden, but it's not going well. I have this tomato plant, and it's been growing tall, but there are no tomatoes yet. I don't understand what's going wrong.
Are there little yellow blooms coming out?
No.
Huh.
But it keeps getting taller and taller.
And it's August now.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know.
I've been pruning it and watering it, and I get nothing.
Oh.
I'm a little disappointed right now. I want my tomatoes.
I'm sorry.
I don't understand why plants just don't do well for me.
Yeah, but you keep trying.
Oh, I'm trying.
One day. I promise I will.
Hey, practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
Even if a few plants die here and there.
I mean, sacrifice.
I know, even my mom, she was down here from Chicago, and she planted, I don't even know what kind of flowers they are, but one on my front porch and one on the deck. They're both dead now. She'd be so disappointed. I tried to water them, but I think it was so hot because in the DC area, it's been between 91 and 95, and it feels 100 on some days.
Yeah.
So I just think it's just the heat.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the heat, Nashay? Really?
I do. I watered them. I swear.
How many times did you water them?
That's neither here nor there. Next question. Okay. So Android or iPhone, and what's your favorite app?
I still have the iPhone 4. I'm really, holding out for that next model to come out. And hands down, Instagram.
Ah, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Now, do you have a favorite editing app for Instagram?
Yeah, I usually just play with the contrast on Instagram, but if I'm adding words to my photo, I use After Photo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
But I don't go crazy with filters or anything. So
yeah. And then you have did you take photography in school too? Because your pictures seem really crisp and clear. I would definitely tell the listeners check out the Color Truck on Instagram because it shows you how you can make your photos a little bit interesting without having to use filters. Because I could tell there aren't any filters, but because you have that natural light and it's the interesting angles, they look really, really good.
Thanks. Yeah, natural light is definitely important. I never use flash, pretty much. Sometimes I cheat and I do use a real camera and Photoshop to play with the lighting, but usually it's either my iPad or my iPhone.
And then, I was looking, I see you put some construction photos of the truck. Now, did you, is this at the shop where they were working on it as far as the inside, or did you guys do the work on the inside?
In the inside, my cousin does theater sets for Philadelphia Theater. So I went down to Pennsylvania for a week in the late spring, and we did it together. So yeah, that was homemade as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Now, did you decide to go with like a generator, or as far as like kind of heating and cooling, did you do anything special, or are you kind of like all natural? Like if it's hot, it's hot.
No, I got an AC installed, and my generator is I got like a fancy one. It's like mounted under the truck, and it hooks up to the fuel tank. So I pretty much just press a button and it turns on. Like that generator and the AC and getting it installed was pretty much the most expensive thing that I did. The AC works great. I haven't run into a winter yet. That could be something. But I found we did insulate the truck. So we put like that pink insulation stuff up, and then we put the walls up. So I feel like that's been keeping me pretty cool during the summer, and I'm hoping it'll be, keeping me warm during the winter as well. But I might get like a space heater for the winter.
Just in case.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
Now, I know this comes up in a lot in our Facebook group. Let's talk about fashion trucks, like what generator to get. Do you happen to remember the name of that generator?
Yeah, it's the Cummins Onan 3200 Quiet Diesel. Yeah, I have a diesel truck, so.
Yeah, no, so people are going to be happy about that, because I think that's always like when people are just starting to build out their truck, they're trying to figure out like what generator they should use.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the pricier way to go, but having the detached generators was just something I didn't want to deal with on a daily basis. And, having to like fuel them up and take them out and plug them in. And I don't know, it's the one thing that I really splurged on.
Yeah, I forgot who we were talking about, but I think it was maybe the Nomad truck. And like, that was her advice, is like, just kind of get what you need up front, and I was kind of saying like, right, you pay now or pay later, right? If you can afford to get what you need, you might as well do it right when you like are having that truck built out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't really be able to do that later because they kind of had to cut into the floor a little bit. So, hopefully I keep it going and it doesn't break down on me. But,
right. No, we're throwing good vibes over there. That will not happen.
Thank you. I already changed the oil in it by myself, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Look at you.
Yeah. We can do this.
Right. Well, I'll let Astrell take us home.
Well, actually, before I wrap it up with the last questions, I wanted to kind of backtrack a little bit to your Wix website. Now, do you have any suggestions or advice for other people who are using this particular platform? Like, what can they do to not make it look so, like, Wixy?
I mean, like, I would definitely make note of websites that you like the look of, that, are really captivating or just look really professional, and, kind of keep them in your back pocket and, make note of what you like. Not that you should be copying them, but just like, oh, I like the heading this way, at the top instead of the bottom, or I like this color scheme, or like, they only use one or two fonts to make it look simple. Like, really, research what you respond to with other websites. You don't have to recreate the wheel here. Simple is usually better. And just really, look around before you jump in.
And I feel like as long as you pick a really good template to start with, have really amazing photos, and then like your site structure as far as like the navigation and the content you have in there is solid, usually you're okay.
Yeah.
It's when you try to go too crazy on colors, your photos are either really small or pixelated, or people go to your site and they don't know exactly where to go.
Yeah.
I feel like you then run into issues.
Yeah. I mean, simple is usually better, make sure it's easy.
Okay. So for our final question, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
What would I attempt? I feel like I'm doing it now. Like it was really a big decision to, go off on my own and, wave goodbye to the corporate America. And I'm really just hoping I don't fail. It's kind of like I'm not going to have that be an option.
But it's interesting because it sounds like, with that question, it's kind of digging at like, if you didn't have to worry about something not working, or if you didn't have to worry about money or whatever it might be, like, what would you do? But it sounds like this was your risk, right? Like you could have went back to corporate America, been safe, had, your insurance paid for, overtime, whatever. But you were just like, I'm going to go out on my own, that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, if that was the case as well, I might like buy a farm and some goats, cows, and pigs and be completely like sustainable and like grow my own food. If I knew I wouldn't starve to death, that would be something that I would really be into. I don't know if I would enjoy it that much, but it sounds fun. I don't know.
Like an experiment for the fall season, and then you come back to the city in the spring.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. My goat.
Great. Well, where can the listeners find you as far as like your social media handles, your website, and any events that you might have coming up?
Yeah, you can find me on localcolortruck.com, on Instagram and Twitter at localtruck, and then on Facebook, /localcolortruck. So yeah, you can find me there, and hopefully I'll be parking in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, a lot there. That's kind of TBD at the moment. And also on the weekends until mid-December, I should be on Governor's Island. So if you're heading out there, definitely come find me.
Yeah, and all you New Yorkers that are listening in, check her out. She has some really cute stuff in there, from pillows to candles to accessories and everything. Everything is fun, funky, awesome colors. So be prepared to spend some money.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the local designers that you carry in the truck?
Some of them, I have Map Tote, made in Brooklyn. Alexandra Ferguson, made in Brooklyn. I have... mounted paper animal heads, made in Queens. Reason to Be Pretty jewelry, made in Manhattan. Art by PJ Cobbs, done in Manhattan. We have about 15-ish, different artists and designers in there. So it's a great little assortment.
Well, thank you again for coming on. And I know you're just starting out on this adventure. So thanks for kind of sharing like kind of your startup.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, she definitely is off to a good start. It's always interesting hearing from people just starting out on their journey, like things that they've had to overcome, kind of where they are now. And I'm sure if we talk to her a year from now, she'd even have even more kind of tips and tricks like under her belt.
Yeah, we're definitely going to follow up with her. And, also, touching on the fact that, she spent a little bit more money to get her, the generator and the AC installed in the truck. I think that, with her thinking and, other truck owners, it's best to spend that money up front to make sure that you have everything you need and that you have the best, so that later you don't, break down or be in a crunch because you don't have the things that you need.
You could definitely tell that she has kind of like a good eye for typography, which is the type, and kind of layout and color, because from like her branding on the truck, the website, her choices in the articles in the truck, like I can't explain it, but I could just tell she has an eye for kind of finding the right stuff. I'll put a little caveat in there though. That doesn't mean you need to be a designer in order to do that well. It's just having a good eye for like design and type. And a lot of people kind of have it innately. And then even people who do, they still need to get inspiration from other places. So if you don't be too like, oh man, I'm never going to get my branding right. I'm never going to get my website right. Like her advice about just looking at other websites and kind of, sort of mimicking or getting ideas, it's a great idea. I mean, for me, all the time when I'm working on different things and different projects, I'm getting inspired by other designs, and maybe taking elements from them to incorporate into the different brands I work with. So,
is that right?
That's right. That's why I love Pinterest.
So, I think there might be a little favoritism going on here, because why is it that every time I choose a certain font or whatever, you like knock it down? So it's like, everybody just listen. I'm not allowed to make any graphics whatsoever for Find a Fashion Truck, because she won't let me. She won't let me. Every font that I choose, any kind of design that I do, she'll like delete it, or she won't even consider it. But everybody else's stuff you like. How is this possible?
So, first of all, people, this is not true.
Yes, it is. Yes,
there are times that Astro creates stuff and it makes me cringe a little bit, but that's very rare.
Okay, continue lying.
Wait, but even for me, like, I don't even really have time to design stuff. Like, I use apps like WordSwag, for example, to do like the little, like, if you guys go to our Instagram account, FFT_official_, or you could probably just search Find a Fashion Truck and we'll come right up. But like all the different like images on there, like the truck boss image and what would you attempt to do if you do, you could not fail, or look like a girl, act like a lady, think like a woman, work like a boss. All of those were from WordSwag. But the thing is, even with WordSwag, you have to know like what looks good as far as the colors, because sometimes I could see people probably get overwhelmed by like all the choices, and all the choices aren't great. There's some that don't look good at all. So I think again, by looking,
judge? Who is the judge for this though? Like who how are you going to know what looks good and what doesn't? Because isn't it all about personal preference?
Okay, so that's the thing about design, is sometimes people say it's subjective, right? I mean, it is subjective. And there are some things that are very poorly designed, but maybe because of the content and the graphic, it'll still go viral or get popular. But when you're trying to create like a certain brand, you want people to kind of go to your IG account, Pinterest account, your website or whatever, and get like this feeling when they go there, like have this, kind of get a sense of your style. So it matters to your brand. It matters to you. The more people that like your brand, the more likes you get, the more exposure you get, the more people repost or retweet or whatever. So it does play into it. And I think for our brand, it's kind of fun and funky. On Instagram, we are reposting other people's images too, which is, I've talked about that before. It's a little tricky because you're trying to have everything be sort of consistent, even though you're getting different people's photography styles. So, it's like you're trying to have a balance. So when people go to wherever, things don't feel off. And so that's what I try to do. That's all.
Sure. I'll let it go for right now. So we can keep it short.
Well, you will hear about this again. Exactly. You already made this outro like super long.
Whatever. You the one kept talking. So we hope you enjoyed the episode. Once again, if you like the podcast, please go to iTunes and rate us and leave a review. We'd appreciate 5 stars. If you're going to take the time to go there, just go ahead and click that 5th star.
Wow. Wow.
I'm just saying, if you're there in the app, just click the 5th star.
I will say to the folks that have already rated us and taken the time to rate us or write something really nice, thank you again. Definitely, we want your honest review. 5 stars is great, but keep it honest.
I hate you so much.
But I also want to bring attention to 2 hashtags. One hashtag that we've already put out there, and Estrella actually came up with it. It's Fashion Truck Takeover. So if you own a mobile boutique or you've been in one that you love, even if you're not a boutique owner, tag your photos with Fashion Truck Takeover, because we just want to kind of see all the cool trucks in the feed. And we might even like reposted on our IG account. And the new one that we're trying to get some traction on is hashtag truck boss. Boss is kind of like really popular, like boss lady, being, boss, I just love it. I'm kind of addicted to it. So we created a graphic, truck boss, which you'll see. And it's interesting. I just posted one in Let's Talk About Fashion Truck, the Facebook group. So I think people are going to start using it. So help us make Truck Boss viral. Anyway, okay, that was corny. But anywho, find us on all the social media accounts by just typing in Find a Fashion Truck, and you'll find us. Of course, Twitter and Instagram, FFT_official_. Everything else, just look for Find a Fashion Truck. And for the show notes for this episode and any other episode, go to startafashiontruck.com. And we recommend looking through it because people have provided awesome links. So whatever links that people have talked about, they're there. And if people have provided worksheets also, the links to those worksheets are there. And if we actually haven't created a worksheet yet, maybe we need to create a worksheet. We'll see. You will, in the future, you might find some of our worksheets on there too. And then definitely subscribe to our YouTube account because we're doing more videos on there. And I don't think I forgot anything, but follow us and we'll follow you back. And thanks for listening. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for parking here.